Welcome to a special edition of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast, NBA Draft Predictions episode. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the scorching, hot, and hellish-like confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thanks. Happy to be here with you guys. As you guys noticed, NBA draft night, a big night for the class of 2025 prospects. Very exciting. So this episode is not going to be a long one. This episode is going to pretty much detail the first 10 picks, my predictions on who the first 10 picks will be in the NBA draft. Also, I will touch on potential draft trades that I think may happen tonight as well. Also, I'll touch on this episode because I got to kind of squeeze it in with the time constraints for the draft coming up. Also, to touch on what I think the Sacramento Kings may do going into this NBA draft. But happy to be here as always, guys. And before we get started, I definitely want to make sure we give a couple shots out to a couple friends of the show. First and foremost, if you guys know, I'm an avid gamer. I'm a huge Sony PlayStation fan. I don't know if you guys know or not, but today is the very last day of Sony's PlayStation Days of Play. I implore you to check it out. If you're worried that you may have missed it, don't worry, you haven't. Today is the last day. You have up until midnight. I will have a link within the description box of my video for you to check it out. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to take your spouse out, have a great time with some friends, then look no further than the #1 leading ticket seller and reseller in the world, StubHub. #1 seller in the world for live events, tickets, shows, and concerts, StubHub. All right, guys, so hopping into this episode, like I said, this is going to be the NBA draft predictions. A lot of mock drafts, a lot of content going into it. I read a very, very lengthy article from The Athletic, from John Hollinger, detailing the draft, detailing the best players in the draft, where these guys might possibly fall, who's getting projected where, things of that nature, and all that shit. So, yeah. A lot of reading, but definitely glad that this night is here. Now we can celebrate these young men, not only just becoming millionaires, but living out their dream and potentially becoming the next batch of NBA stars that we all hope for. So without further ado, I will get into my top 10 picks, my predictions for who I think will go in the top 10 of the NBA draft. #1, we're going to start off with the most obvious pick, Cooper Flagg, going to the Dallas Mavericks. Also think that you'll see here on the screen, definitely make sure you guys check this out via The Athletic. New Balance in their money call section in The Athletic, New Balance did a very detailed ad campaign, for lack of better words, for Cooper Flagg. It's something today is called Flag Day for New Balance, and also in the state of Maine, where Cooper Flagg is from, it is also going to be called Flag Day. So shout out to Cooper Flagg for being the #1 pick, living out his dream, being the best basketball player in Maine's history, and possibly, at some point usurping Kawhi Leonard as the #1 player in New Balance for basketball. So definitely fantastic news for Cooper Flagg in that department. Now, #2. A lot of mock drafts have Dylan Harper going #2. Not really arguing that too much. I could definitely see that happening. However, I feel the Spurs are going to shock people, and they're going to take Acebailey. They seem to like guards. I think that they like Stephon Castle, but I think they realize they're not going to be able to put him in the rotation at some point, while Acebailey may have some more time to develop. Stephon Castle already coming off Rookie of the Year. Could be wrong, but I think it's definitely a shock, something that they're going to surprise people with. I got Acebailey going to the Spurs at #2. Now, first potential trade of the night, #3. I have the 76ers. If they stay in this spot, they're going to take VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor. I think they prefer Acebailey. That's why they're throwing out there they still might trade. I think they really wanted Acebailey, but being that Acebailey kind of felt like he's going to be thrust into a situation where he's going to have to start immediately, and he kind of wants to develop and hone his skills, completely understandable. So keep an eye on the Sixers in that department, but I got VJ Edgecombe from Baylor going to the Sixers. #4, this is where I have the Hornets, who have been mired in mediocrity and need another player opposite LeVar Ball and Brandon Miller there. In Charlotte, I have them picking Dylan Harper. I do have him falling a bit, not because he's a bad player, but just my predictions again. Number 5, Utah Jazz. I have them picking Khan Kanupu out of Duke. Number 6, I have the Washington Wizards taking Trey Johnson out of Texas. Now, do I think that Trey Johnson could go that high? I based my pick strictly off of need. There's a very good chance that they could take a point guard in this spot. However, I just think Trey Johnson may go there. Number 7, the Pelicans picking Kasparis Yakusionis out of Illinois. Number 8, another interesting one here, Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets have 5 first-round picks. The fact they have 5 first-round picks, this is very interesting because I think that this puts the pick, if they stay there in that spot, the pick could be Cedric Howard, in my personal opinion. I think that's what they would draft. However, they'll be acquiring a big-name player with one of these picks. I don't think they're just going to sit idly by and not try to grab an established veteran to help these young guys along, in my personal opinion. Number 9, another team that's definitely a potential trade candidate. Keep an eye on the Toronto Raptors. If they stay in that spot, I do have them taking Joan Berenger from France. And number 10, another trade candidate here, Houston Rockets. They just got this pick via the Phoenix Suns. They got this pick via the Phoenix Suns trade. Suns got this pick via the trade with the Rockets. So I have the Suns possibly making a move here. So there's a lot of things falling into place here, but I definitely see a lot of potential trades going down within the first round. I think within the first 20 picks, we'll definitely see a minimum of 5 trades. As far as potential draft trades themselves, not just the number or quantity of trades, but actual players who may get traded. Let me say this. I definitely think the fact that the Utah Jazz contacting about Jaylen Brown, looking into Derek White, I think they're on the block. Being that they're on the block, keep an eye out for that. Didn't see the Utah Jazz being this aggressive for Jaylen Brown, but being that Danny Ainge just came from that organization, kind of basically trying to microwave the process a bit. Doesn't really have time to really sit for 5 years and let a bunch of young guys grow. I get it. Derek White, though, is my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, is the one who's probably going to get moved, but we shall see. Just the fact that Utah is being this aggressive on draft night tells me that they're definitely trying to solve a lot of their problems this year. DeMar DeRozan from Sacramento. Where does he go? DeMar DeRozan, I think he gets moved. Preferably tonight, but I think the longer it drags out, the worse the return is for the Sacramento Kings. But I think they could definitely get him to move tonight. And also, will the Kings be able to move into the first round? It's been well known that they've talked to Utah, they've talked to Oklahoma City. There's a rumor via hoopshype.com that apparently the Kings and the Thunder are kind of already worked out a deal. We shall see how that works out. But the Kings are definitely players to try to move into the bottom half of the first round or the top. So keep an eye on potential trade with them in Toronto, or like I said, the Kings and the Thunder, or the Kings and the Utah Jazz. But they're definitely trying to make a move to get into that first round of the draft. The Sixers, as I previously stated, will the Sixers trade the number 3 pick? A lot of speculation that might happen. Being that the Sixers are very much in love with Acebailey, but he's not in love with them. Maybe a situation where the Sixers just trade that pick for a veteran or trade that pick for a guy who could really help them now. We shall see. And then another interesting tidbit that I think no one's really talking about ad nauseum, but it's definitely a big topic. Will the Lakers acquire a big man via trade or the draft? I think either one is definitely doable. They're not going to be able to get Miles Turner. There's a lot of talk. They're talking about getting the center out of Duke. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now at the moment. But in my honest opinion, the Lakers definitely need to acquire a center. Without acquiring a center, they're putting themselves in a very bad situation where it's pretty much wash, rinse, and repeat of what happened last year. Without any size or depth right there in the interior, they're just going to be laid to waste again in the first round of the playoffs. So definitely going to be very interesting to see, and definitely interesting to keep an eye on and see what they do. As far as my Sacramento Kings are concerned, now as far as the draft predictions with them, Sacramento obviously trying to get into the first round. It's going to cost them a combination of DeRozan, Carter, and Monk, or Monk and Carter, or if not all three. But one, if not all three of these guys are getting moved at some point tonight. Who is Sacramento targeting in the draft? Obviously, a point guard, prime center of focus for this team right now. But hypothetically speaking, my best guess would be Walter Clayton Jr. from Florida. There's been a lot of speculation. They have had him in for a visit. They like his game a lot. Pretty much rose through the ranks going through the NCAA tournament. Shot the 3 ball very well. Definitely somebody I could definitely see Sacramento and Scott Perry being interested into. Also, as a dark horse candidate, someone I think to keep an eye on too. Keep an eye on Jace Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson. Doesn't have the hops like his father does, but he's got a better all-around game. So I definitely think that's if the Kings are, can get into the first round, those are 2 guys I definitely think you should keep an eye on for Sacramento to acquire. As far as potential trades, like I stated, Utah, Oklahoma City, Toronto, teams that have really, really thrown out there that they probably possibly make a move for Sacramento. As a fan, though, your question in your mind is who goes first, DeRozan or Sabonis? From what the speculation I've read, James Anderson from the Sacramento Bee, some of the things I've read on Hoops Hype and some of the other things I've read on Twitter, or X, for lack of better words, my best guess would be DeRozan. I would be slightly shocked, not out of the realm of impossibility, but slightly shocked if Sabonis is traded before DeRozan, but I definitely think DeRozan is getting traded. Who will the Kings acquire via trade or free agency? I think there's a lot of names that you could look at. I know that as of today, Dennis Schroeder's name popped up. Not really a huge fan of that signing. I know he's a veteran point guard, but not really a huge fan of that. Kyle Kuzma, not a huge fan of that. His name's been referenced for many, many moons in Sacramento. Tyus Jones, as I previously mentioned in a previous episode, his name has been mentioned. Matisse Thybulle, another guy that's been mentioned. You have also Jeremy Grant, and also Mikal Bridges. So they have some guys that Sacramento could possibly acquire to help with the scoring and defensive end. Because make no mistake, Sacramento also wants to get better on defense, and they also want length on the wing and perimeter. So be that as it may, a lot of things to still shake out there. And last but not least, this is just my personal opinion with this statement. I think the Kings low-key want the number 9 pick in the draft. However, like I stated in the previous segment, I think a lot of the things that the Sacramento Kings are going to be able to do is possibly get into the bottom half of the first round. But the fact that they've been talking to Toronto, they've looked at trying to get into the first round, do not, Kings fans, hear me, do not put it out of the realm of possibility that this team could get into the top of the first round. If they do, who they grab, I'm not sure. Maybe it's Clayton Jr., maybe it's Jace Richardson, I don't know. But very exciting times right now. I'm about to get myself ready to watch the draft. I hope you guys enjoy it. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night. Hey to all my fans and subscribers out in the UK. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to make something of your week, then look no further than the Viagogo, the number 2 leading ticket seller in the world for live events, shows, and concerts. Definitely check it out. If you're looking for exclusive tickets, look in the description of my videos on the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. Take care and enjoy your day.